Hello guys, welcome back in Goku Manhwa channel. Let's continue. Ju Jungwook stood there, speaking softly to Jung Seon, asking if what she had said earlier about wanting to kiss him meant that she liked him. The question itself made him blush, and his hesitation showed how much weight those words carried for him. Jung Seon did not answer out loud. Instead, her thoughts repeated the word kiss again and again, making her feel flustered. Almost without realizing it, she held herself a little closer, her body reacting before her mind could catch up. The shyness settled deep in her chest, heavy and unfamiliar. It had only been 2 days since she arrived at the orchard, yet those 2 days felt far more intense than she expected. So much had happened between her and Ju Jungwook in such a short time. Among those moments was her first kiss, something she never imagined would happen so suddenly. She could no longer deny the physical attraction she felt toward him. Even though she had no experience with dating, she knew it would be dishonest to say she felt nothing. At this point, her interest and feelings for Ju Jungwook were undeniable, even if she did not fully understand them yet. She looked at him as he stood near the door, his presence calm yet overwhelming. When she thought about Ju Jungwook, who had liked her for over 10 years, her chest tightened. Comparing his long-standing feelings to her own sudden attraction made her feel unsure and conflicted. She wondered whether it was right to say she liked him when her feelings felt shallow in comparison. That thought alone left her confused and restless. Gripping herself tightly, as if trying to steady her heart, Jung Seon finally spoke. She asked him if he could give her something, and he listened without interrupting. She then explained that she needed it until her vacation there ended. Her words left him speechless, and for a moment, he simply stood there, unable to respond. After that pause, Ju Jungwook handed her a t-shirt and told her to change into it, carefully avoiding looking at her. He added that he would wash what she was wearing and ask her to hand it to him while she changed into the t-shirt instead. Jung Seon looked at him quietly before exchanging her tank top for the t-shirt he offered. She accepted it without hesitation. Once everything was settled, she told him she would see him tomorrow. Ju Jungwook replied back, his voice steady despite everything that remained unsaid between them. Then, just as Jung Seon was about to say goodbye, she realized that he was already gone. The space where Ju Jungwook had been standing felt suddenly empty. She looked toward the door, her eyes lingering there with a sense of quiet hope, as if expecting him to reappear. Her thoughts began to spiral, questioning why she had gone to Ju Jungwook's room in the first place, especially after hearing his confession earlier that day. She wondered if it had been nothing more than the result of being drunk, her emotions stirred and her senses heightened by his words. She questioned whether she had been turned on by the way his confession kept bothering her, or if there had been something else entirely behind her actions. She remembered seeing him walking out of the door, his back turned to her, and that image stayed in her mind. Another thought followed, softer and harder to admit. Maybe she had gone there simply because she wanted to see him. All of these questions remained unspoken, repeating only in her head, when no one else could hear them. Ju Jungwook had seemed very shy, and that only made her thoughts feel heavier. Jung Seon lay back on her bed, staring upward, overwhelmed by the mess of emotions she could not untangle. She felt frustrated with herself, thinking about how she had always pushed away men who approached her in the past. This was the first time she had ever been in a situation like this, a relationship that felt uncertain and unfamiliar. The thought of what might happen if she ended up liking Ju Jungwook made her chest tighten. She imagined the possibility of them suddenly starting to date, only to break up later. If that happened, it would ruin the relationship between their families for no real reason. The idea alone made her uneasy. She then thought about the disappointment Ju Jungwook would feel if things went wrong, and that thought gave her a headache. Her mind felt crowded with worries she did not know how to silence. At the same time, she knew she could not lie to herself and say she had never thought of him as a man. Ju Jungwook had always been close to her, always present in her life. Saying she never saw him that way would simply be false. It felt more accurate to say that she had deliberately tried not to think of him in that way. Her memories drifted back to their earlier days in school. From the moment they entered the same middle school until the day they graduated from the same high school, Ju Jungwook had always stood out. He was the most talked about person, someone even older girls would stop just to look at. Growing up as childhood friends in the same neighborhood, it seemed natural that as they hit puberty, they slowly drifted apart, like many boys and girls do. And yet, despite that distance, he had never truly left her life or her thoughts. During her school days, there was a time when a girl approached Jung Seon and asked her if she knew Ju Jungwook. Without hesitation, Jung Seon replied that she did not really know him. At that time, to Ju Jung-wook, she believed she was nothing more than a childhood friend who happened to live next door. She assumed he had never thought of her as someone special. That belief settled firmly in her mind, making it easier for her to accept the distance that grew between them. She told herself that they had naturally drifted apart, and she questioned whether that was not simply how things were meant to be. As time passed and they became adults, she found herself avoiding Ju Jung-wook altogether. His presence made her feel burdened in ways she did not know how to explain, and distancing herself felt like the safest choice. Even now, she realized how deliberate her avoidance had been. There were moments at home when her mother tried to bring up Ju Jung-wook in conversation. Each time, Jung Seon dismissed it quickly, showing no interest and shutting the topic down before it could continue. In truth, she had tried her best to avoid hearing any news about him at all. It was not accidental. It was something she had consciously done over the years. At one point, she looked down her phone and saw Ju Jung-wook's Instagram ID on the screen. Almost immediately, she turned the phone off, as if even that small connection was too much. The question she had been avoiding surfaced again. She asked herself why she had gone out of her way to avoid Ju Jung-wook for so long. She questioned what he really was to her and why his existence unsettled her so deeply. The answers never came easily. She never imagined that they would meet again like this, only to become so hopelessly entangled in each other's lives. The repetition of the same question echoed in her thoughts, asking why this was happening now, after everything. There was no clear conclusion, only confusion that refused to fade. Later, after Ju Jung-wook stepped out of her room, he looked down at the tan top, and then lifted his eyes. The moment lingered quietly, filled with thoughts neither of them had voiced. Ju Jung-wook was left speechless, yet his heartbeat raced uncontrollably in his chest. Even though he did not say anything out loud, his body reacted more honestly than his words ever could. His thoughts drifted back to a specific day from the past, a day he had never been able to forget. It was the day their college entrance exam ended during their final year of high school. On that same day, his parents suddenly announced that they would be moving to the countryside. The news came without warning, changing everything in an instant. Without fully realizing what he was doing, Ju Jung-wook spent that entire day waiting in front of his house for Jung Seon. He stayed there for hours, unaware of how much time had passed, driven only by the hope that she might appear. His mind was caught between the weight of leaving and the desire to see her one last time before everything changed. While he was waiting, he finally saw her approaching. However, she was not alone. Jung Seon was walking with another guy, and the sight stopped him cold. She looked genuinely happy, and her smile was warm in a way that felt unfamiliar to him. That smile, which he had always associated with himself, now seemed to belong to someone else. The guy she was with spoke to her, telling her to get home safely. Ju Jung-wook watched the interaction closely, his eyes fixed on them. Shock washed over him as the realization settled in. In that moment, he believed that this new guy had replaced him in her life. The thought struck deeply, leaving him stunned and unable to move. Ju Jung-wook had always liked Jung Seon. That feeling had never wavered, even as time passed. Seeing her with someone else stirred an intense jealousy within him, one he had never experienced so strongly before. His hands clenched tightly at his sides, his fingers digging into his palms as he struggled to contain what he felt. The memory faded, bringing him back to the present. Even now, his hands were still gripping tightly, just as they had on that day. The emotions from the past had never truly disappeared. This time, however, his resolve was clear. He was determined not to lose her again, not the way he had lost her back then. The certainty in his heart was firm and unshakable, and he knew exactly what he wanted to protect.